So in our everyday life, and I think everyone experiences this at some point in their life, we hear all the time perfection is not attainable and nobody's perfect. Although that is a great message to convey, we never really know how to not expect perfection from ourselves because of how we grew up, especially the Gen Zs out there, but also because of our environment. And just like everything else in life, being a perfectionist is a spectrum. For me, and this is speaking from my own experience, if you're a perfectionist, you might have similar or very different experience than me. I always expected things of myself that I would never ever expect from other people, which led me to a sense of extremism in my life. It's either I want to do everything perfectly or not do anything at all. It also led me to expect validation from the outside world, and especially expect validation from my external accomplishments. If I work really hard on a project and the result is not exactly how I expected it to be, then to me that's just as good as not doing anything at all. And so that always led me to keep increasing the stakes. Whenever I do something or I reach one goal, then I want to reach the next step and the next step and never be satisfied with what I have in the moment. And although I can agree that a lot of the things that I did in my life are partly because of it, internally speaking, it is exhausting. And I think if you're a perfectionist as well, you might definitely agree, and that is why you're watching this video. It's exhausting because even though objectively speaking, in my mind, I know that I'll never reach perfection, no matter what kind of perfection that is, whether it's in my career, with my clients that I coach, with myself, externally, internally, perfection does not exist, and I know that in my mind. But somewhere deep down, I always expect more and more and more and more to get as close to that fake perfection as I can. And that's so interesting because even though we know things logically, it's so hard to admit it and get out of it. And just like any topic that I touch up on my channel, whether that's fitness, mental health, or just daily life things, I always like to go to the root of the problem, because you can't really fix something if you don't know where it's coming from. A lot of the time, expecting perfection from yourself is a learned behavior, and that's just my personal belief. I don't think that anyone is born a perfectionist. I think that at some point in our childhoods, perfection is always expected of us. And because it's repeated to us, whether that's through our environment or through social media or whatever it may be, we start to subconsciously believe it. And we start to raise the stakes more and more and more. It comes from a fear of making a mistake, because maybe before in your life you've made a mistake that you were really punished for, in any sense of the word, whether that's verbal punishment or physical punishment or shame or whatever it may be. And of course, it definitely comes from the social pressure to excel in everything. So in a world where we're told and we're considered not perfect and not good enough, how do we switch our perspectives, and how do we stop expecting perfection from ourselves and keep raising the stakes again and again and again, wishing for internal peace that will never ever happen? Well, the first thing we have to know is that perfectionists are most of the time codependent when it comes to their self-value. Not only codependent when it comes to people around them, but also codependent when it comes to their accomplishments, as I touched up on in the beginning of the video. And so the only way out of that is to start building your own sense of self through falling in love with the small things about yourself, but also through creating new and realistic expectations for yourself. It might be hard in the beginning because you're used to shoot for the stars, which is great, but creating realistic expectations will ground you because they're most likely to be achieved. And using that energy that you've used for so long to reach perfection to switch your perspective, to start building very small habits. If I give you an example of myself, when it comes to just YouTube videos. This video that I'm filming right now. A year ago, it would take me 3 hours, 4 hours to film a 20-minute video because I wouldn't be happy with how I said one word, or because my makeup was smudged a little bit, or because my hair wasn't perfect. And little by little, I was giving myself tasks like just record a video once and post it. Don't think about it too much. And at first it was really hard because I really wanted to re-record a lot of my videos. But as time goes, I've started realizing that those things that I notice in my videos, most people don't really pay attention to. It's just me. Through trial and error over and over again, I started realizing that people's view of you is more a reflection of them than it is of you. And it also didn't make sense to me to hate myself to reaching perfection or self-acceptance. Telling yourself, I'll be happy when I accomplish my weight loss goals, or I'll be satisfied when I get my degree, or I'll be satisfied when I start my business. And so the minute that you accept who you are now and be okay with your flaws and your mistakes, the faster you are going to reach those goals. Learning to let go of those harsh expectations that have been put on you for so long and that now you expect of yourself is so important. I always talk about my personal experience here and there, although my private life is very private, but I think it's very important in videos, especially like these, to talk about my personal experience so you know where I'm coming from. And so for me, letting go was probably the hardest part. Letting go of being the perfect daughter, or letting go of being the perfect coach, or letting go of being the perfect girlfriend, and being okay with the fact that sometimes I will make mistakes. And I'll be honest and I'll say, even now when I make certain mistakes, it's very hard for me not to beat myself over it for a very long time. And it's so counterproductive, it's so toxic, because instead of just coming into terms with whatever mistake you did, whether that's in your job or in your personal life, and deciding that it's not as bad as you may think it may be in your head, will go a long way into coming into peace with yourself. You're not equal to your past, your experiences, or your mistakes. Be happy with the you now. I know it's easy to say and much harder to do, I know from experience. But if you look around you every day, you'll find something to be happy with, whether that's in yourself or outside of yourself. You'll find that gratitude really goes a long way. I love reminding myself of the small things that I once really took for granted because I was striving for more and more from myself. Focus on what you're grateful for, and that will bring your attention to the now. It will bring your attention to who you are now and be happy with who you are now, because if I go back 5 years ago and I look at myself now, I'd be so proud of where I am right now. But we get so caught up into the lifestyle of wanting more and more, we don't realize how much we've accomplished so far. And one thing I did that really helped me with that, and that I actually need to do more often, but I can't because I do work on social media, and that is every once in a while, detox completely from social media. Just delete Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, whatever social media you have. And trust me, that'll make a tremendous difference in your life. And even though you might be a mostly confident person, social media is going to create something to be self-conscious for. So just do that once in a while and unfollow toxic accounts. Honestly, you don't need accounts that tell you need to look a certain way. You don't need accounts that tell you this is perfection and you need to strive for this and that. Just unfollow it. You don't need that. Follow your friends and follow people that make you feel happy and that spread positivity. And that's what you need. This might seem really trivial, but it can really make the difference. Speaking from experience, I know that getting out of that perfectionist cycle and expecting more and more of yourself can be so hard. It can be be so hard to stop expecting more of yourself, but I truly believe that you can get out of it. Maybe not completely, but little by little, you'll be more and more satisfied with yourself. The more information you get about yourself and the more information you get from videos like this that speak from other people's experiences. I don't know you, you probably don't know me, and we're probably strangers, but let me tell you, there's no reason for you to feel worthless. Give yourself a pat on the back, because I know that it's only you that sees your shortcomings. It's only you that expects more and more of yourself, and everyone can probably see that you're doing amazing. So give yourself a really good pat on the back for how far you've come. I'd love to know your experiences with being a perfectionist, because it's definitely something I can relate to. So let's start a conversation about this in a comment, and I'll see you then.